It's just one button. Okay, we're good. All right, polynomial long division. Polynomial long division. If you don't remember regular long division, this will be extremely, extremely annoying. If you do remember long division, it'll be a little bit easier. Now, the problems can be set up in several different ways. Fairly simple example. Well, here, I'm going to do one everyone should know by now. X squared minus 12x plus 27 equals. Dean remembers it from the test.
So
what is this?
It was the one that I had trouble on.
All right, what does this break down to?
X minus 3,
X minus 9. Now, this is two things being multiplied together to form a product. Any two things you can multiply together to form a product, you can also reverse the process with division. So, for example, this is one you should actually know the answer to. If I then asked you x squared minus 12x plus 27, and I said divide that by x minus 3. Well, then you're asking yourself x minus 3 times what equals this x squared minus 12x plus 27. So what do you think the answer should be?
X minus 9.
Bless you. X minus 9. It should be the other factor. Factor times factor gives you a product. Product divided by factor gives you the other factor. So in this case, if you already know how they multiply, life is good. If you don't,
Life is bad.
life is, well, the problem is longer. I'll put it that way. This can also be written a couple of different ways, and I want to get you used to each way of writing them. I could also write this as x squared minus 12x plus 27
I lost you.
over x minus 3. We're at
that beginning part.
okay. This is the statement, this binomial times this binomial equals this trinomial. This factor times this, if I were to FOIL it out, would get me back to here. Okay? If I have any two things that multiply together and give me a product, if I take that product and divide it by one of the factors, the answer is going to be the other factor. This is a little bit like if I said 10 equals 2 times 5, and then I asked you, okay, what's 10 divided by 2? You would tell me 5, even if you didn't know how to do this, by going back to the statement. Yes?
So, you do x squared divided by x.
It doesn't quite work that way on this one. I'm going to get to that in a sec. You're jumping ahead, but hold that thought. That's a good thought. I can also write this statement this way, because fractions are another way to write division. I mean, if you read a fraction backwards, you can read this as x minus 9 times x minus 3 equals x squared minus 12x plus 27. So if you get comfortable with the language of what's going on here, this statement shouldn't look any weirder to you than this one. I know it does. All right, now here's where I'm going to probably trigger trauma from the 3rd or 4th grade, depending on how you felt about long division.
I love to long division.
I'm hearing that, actually. I can also write this like this. X squared minus 12x plus 27 under here. And my answer is going to be x minus 9. What I haven't done yet, I've shown you 3 different ways to write this. What I haven't done yet is shown you a process if you don't already know the answer. You do the answer in this case because it came from a problem you already knew from working on quadratics.
And the test.
And the test yesterday, it was on there, yeah. So this is another way to write the same thing. But you guys get that if I can write multiplication this way, I can write division any of these 3 ways. Just like you can with numbers, no different because they're polynomials. All right, I'm going to go back to what Elise said because she was actually on to something here. If you write it this way, she was talking about how this looks like you're dividing x squared by x. You sort of are. Sort of.
Mr. Bobo,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if we already have the answer and we have the problem, what is that really doing?
Well, I'm just trying to get used to the formatting and sort of the language of what we're going to do. That's why I started with one where you know the
If
answer.
this is what we have to do,
That's pretty easy.
This is really easy, and I don't know why you're videotaping it.
Great question.
But if there's like some weird, awful